Hello YouTube, welcome to my channel. The name of this channel is Hokies Nation Sports Show. This video will be introduction to the channel, and I will also get into a little bit about me. I will also recap the Virginia Tech Hokies football game against Old Dominion and Purdue. On this channel, I will talk about each upcoming football game, and I will also do a post-game reaction to each game. In my post-game reaction, I will talk about my thoughts on how the offense and defense played, and I'll also talk about my thoughts on the special teams. I will also give a grade for the offense, defense, and special teams. In my pregame shows, I will talk about the upcoming opponent for the Hokies, and I'll also give a score prediction, as well as any big news going into the next game, such as my injuries to talk about, and etc. I will also do the same pregame and postgame shows for the men's basketball team for Virginia Tech with the same format as football. As for a little bit about me, my name is Michael. I'm a graduate of Virginia Tech. I graduated in December of 2022 with a bachelor's degree in property management, and I am a longtime Virginia Tech fan. In week 1 of the season, the Virginia Tech Hokies defeated the Old Dominion Monarchs 36-17. Offensively, I thought we played well for the most part. Looking at senior quarterback Grant Wells, he was 17 for 29. He threw for 291 yards and for 3 touchdowns. Wells also rushed for a touchdown as well. Sophomore transfer from Baylor University, Kyron Drones, saw some action against the Monarchs as well. Drones was 1 for 1, and he threw for 8 yards. In this game, I thought that Grant Wells had a good game for the most part. In the beginning of the game, it took him a little bit to settle in, as he missed some throws early on. However, as the game went on, I thought that he settled in well. Looking at our run game, we were led by junior running back by Shul Tootin. Excuse me if I butchered that name a little bit, but Tootin is a transfer from North Carolina A&T, and he finished with 19 carries for 55 yards. Although we did struggle running the ball in this game, I thought that Tootin had some good runs. It really looked like the Monarchs were having a tough time bringing him down. It really looked like he had really gains where he really rushed hard. He runs low to the ground, and I could really tell that in this game. It really looked like the Monarchs were having a tough time bringing him down throughout the game, and our offensive line did struggle at times this game, opening up running lanes for a run game. Quarterback Grant Wells had 7 carries for 27 yards and 1 touchdown. Malachi Thomas had 12 carries for 22 yards. Bryce Duke had 1 carry for 4 yards, and Kyron Jones had 3 carries for he had 3 carries for 2 yards. Looking at a receiving core, Ali Jennings was our leading receiver with 5 receptions for 72 yards and 2 touchdowns. What a great game by Jennings. He scored 2 touchdowns against his former team. As if you don't already know, he was on ODU before he came to Tech. I know he had to be excited about that, having a big game against his former team. As far as our other receivers, Jalen Lane finished with 4 receptions for 69 yards. Another good transfer that looked very good in this first game, in my opinion. He's transferred from Middle Tennessee State University in Tennessee. Daquan Felton finished with 1 reception for 34 yards. Benji Gosnell finished with 1 reception for 23 yards. Dwayne Lofton finished with 2 receptions and 20 yards. Tootin finished with one reception for 5 yards. Overall, I give the offense an A for this game. Defensively, the Hokies were led by Antoine Powell-Ryland, as some know as APR. He finished with 6 total tackles, 4 solo tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 tackles for loss. What a great game from this Florida transfer. He really showed out in this first game for Virginia Tech, and I really liked the way that he played. He really put the pressure on ODU quarterback Grant Wilson. Nasir Peoples and Josh Vogel also both had big fumble recoveries, which gave the offense some spark coming onto the field. And what can you say about Dorian Strong's interception? What great instinct to step in there and get that interception. Overall, I give the defense a B- for this game. I thought the defense played well. However, we did not do the best job stopping the run. We especially did not do well stopping Grant Wilson. There was a couple times where he ran basically right through the defense and got a big chunk of yards, and we did not do very well containing the quarterback in this game. The Monarch quarterback, Grant Wilson, had a handful of those big runs, just went right straight at the middle of our defense, and we've got to stop that through the rest of the season, because we're going to face good quarterbacks this year, as in Armstrong at NC State, Wake Forest got a good quarterback in Mitch Griffiths. We're going to have to be able to stop the quarterback run. Defensively, the Hokies were led by Antoine Powell-Ryland, and I'd like to give him a Player of the Game award. I think he should get the game ball for this. He really showed out in this first game at Tech, and I am very excited for his future. On special teams, Tootin had one kickoff return for 21 yards, Jalen Lane had one return for 18 yards, and Malachi Thomas had one return for 16 yards. What a great punt return by Tucker Holiday. That 66-yard punt return was great. I think that Holloway really showed there that he has some speed. And Jalen Lane finished with 2 punt returns of 20 yards. In the kicking game, John Love had a great game. He went a solid 2 for 2 on field goals and 4 for 4 on extra points. Perfect. And Peter Moore had 3 punts for 141 yards. Overall, I would give the special teams a B+ for this game. I thought they played good overall. And as far as moving on to the Purdue game, I wanted to put both the Purdue and ODU games both in the same video due to the fact that this is the first video and I want to keep it up to date. So in week 2, the Virginia Tech Hokies fell to the Purdue Boilermakers 24-17. Offensively, I thought at times we played well and times we did not look our best. Looking at senior quarterback Grant Wells, he was 16 for 33, and he threw for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had 2 interceptions. His first interception was right to the Purdue defender. Second interception, I would not really fault him for it because the ball did get tipped. I feel like when quarterbacks throw back and throw interceptions and they get tipped, I feel like that's not really on them, because it's not that they didn't make a bad throw, in my opinion. It's just a defender, or maybe even sometimes their own offensive player just got the hand on the ball and tipped it into the defender's grasp. Wells was 16 for 33. He threw for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns. Great spot on there, but those 2 interceptions did cost us in times in this game. I felt that this was not Wells' best game. He did make some good throws, but he also did get sacked in this game. Our offensive line had a rough time blocking the Boilermakers at times this game. Kyron Drones also saw some action in this game as well. He was put in very late in the fourth quarter of this game, and some would say that they did not like the decision to put Drones in for such a crucial drive. However, I did not think it was such a bad thing. I mean, he made a couple of big throws, and that one play where he lowered his shoulder tells us that he is a fighter and he wants to go out and win. Personally, I like what I've seen out of Drones thus far this season. He finished 2 for 7 for 32 yards, and looking at a run game, it was a rough day. Malachi Thomas was our leading rusher with 18 yards and 6 carries. Drones finished with 13 yards and 1 carry. Tootin finished with 4 yards on 8 carries. And Grant Wells finished with negative 24 yards on 7 carries. It was definitely not the best day on the ground. We really had a hard time establishing the run against the Boilermaker defense. Looking at a receiving core, we were led by Daquan Wright with 77 yards on 4 receptions. Stephen Gosnell had 72 yards on 3 receptions. And Jalen Lane finished with 5 catches for 54 yards and 1 touchdown. That was a nice grab by Jalen Lane. He had a good game against ODU, and he started out well in this second game in Purdue as well. Tootin finished with 2 receptions, 45 yards, and 1 touchdown. Benji Gosnell finished with 3 receptions for 21 yards. Tucker Holloway finished with 1 reception for 6 yards. Tootin had a nice touchdown in the air to follow Jalen Lane's touchdown. Ollie Jennings suffered an injury in this game. Not good to see for any player, for that matter. But I hope that this young man will be all right. And I do believe that Jalen Lane got injured as well. I could be wrong about that, but I hope that these two young men improve, get healthy soon, and that it's nothing too serious. Overall, I give the offense a C+. Our passing game was decent, but our run game just had a very rough night, and I'm hoping that they can get back on track when they go up to New Jersey on Saturday to take on Rutgers. Defensively, the Hokies were led by Kelly Lawson with 14 tackles, 7 solo tackles, a half sack, and a half tackle for loss. Sophomore Lawson really had a great game. He is looking like he will have a great year. Tootin had a fumble recovery, which was a great play by the North Carolina A&T transfer. Overall, I give the defense a B- for this game. They did give up that touchdown late in the game to Hudson Card, but a couple of those series, our defense, they were in there for a long time, and the Big Ten football, the power running like that. We really saw that from the Purdue defense. From the Purdue offense, and I think it just got to our defense going through that game because they really were out there for a long time. On special teams, Tootin had 2 kickoff returns for 64 yards. Malachi Thomas had 1 return for 15 yards. Kyle Lowe had 1 punt return for 1 yard, while John Love finished 1 for 1 on field goals and 2 for 2 for extra points. Again, Love is keeping his perfect season alive. We hope that this will keep at it as the rest of the season, because we know how important field goals can be in close games, for sure, definitely, most definitely for field goals. Peter Moore had a solid day punting with 7 punts for 324 yards. What a great day punting for Peter Moore. I really liked how he could boom the punts. He's been kicking the ball well this year, and our special teams have been doing a good job getting down and getting the ball. That one play when Cole Beck came down there and got the ball and got it out right before it got in the end zone, those kind of plays, sometimes they do seem small, but if you put your opponent back deep in their own territory or near the goal line, it does add pressure for it, and it really is a big thing to do that. Overall, I give the special teams a B for this game. So, in my next video, I will do a pregame show for the Hokies' next game of the season on Saturday when they head to New Jersey to take on the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. Good night, and until next time, I will see you guys later. Go Hokies.